The Karth Dominion had never lost a war. For thousands of years, their empire had spread across star systems like fire through dry grass. Their fleets were massive, their technology unmatched, and their princes proud. Every battle was a celebration of their power. Every enemy bent the knee. When their scouts discovered a new species called humans, the Karth princes laughed. The report said that humans were young, barely a century into interstellar travel. They still used primitive propulsion and simple plasma weapons. To the Karth, it sounded like another easy conquest. Prince Valrak of the Crimson Spire was the first to demand an invasion. He wanted a quick victory to impress his father, Emperor Cthulhu. Valrak stood in the command hall of his flagship Imperion's Claw, staring out the wide glass window as his fleet of 50 Karth warships floated proudly above the blue planet below. The planet was called Eden 12, a small Terran colony with farming outposts and one orbital station. It wasn't heavily defended. Only one small ship orbited above it, a human vessel called TFS Pathfinder. Valrak smirked when his sensors confirmed it. "A scout ship," he said with a grin. "They send a single scout to face my fleet?" The other princes on his council laughed. Prince Darrow, his younger brother, leaned forward. "Maybe it is a mistake. Perhaps they don't know we are here." Valrak's golden eyes glowed. "Then we will announce ourselves properly." He raised his hand. "Begin the attack. Disable their communications first. I want that human ship crushed." Across the black sky, the Karth warships moved like a single creature. 50 ships formed attack patterns, charging weapons, targeting the lonely human scout. Inside the TFS Pathfinder, Captain Mara Holt stood on the bridge, calm but alert. Her ship was small, less than 1/10 the size of a Karth destroyer. The crew numbered only 20. Against 50 enemy warships, it was hopeless. But Mara didn't panic. She knew her mission was not to win, it was to observe. The Pathfinder was a reconnaissance vessel, designed for stealth and data collection, not combat. Her first officer, Lieutenant Vega, looked nervous. "Captain, 50 enemy contacts closing in. They're locking weapons. Should we?" "Stay calm," Mara said. "Activate Ghost Protocol." The Pathfinder's AI, named Nora, responded in a smooth voice. "Ghost Protocol active. Uploading all sensor data to Terran Command. Shall I begin adaptive defense?" "Do it," Mara said. At once, invisible code streamed through the ship's systems. The Pathfinder started transmitting encrypted signals toward deep space. Not a distress call, but a combat data uplink. Every movement of the enemy ships, every energy fluctuation, every firing pattern was being recorded and analyzed. Outside, the Karth fleet fired. Beams of plasma and torpedoes streaked across space, filling the void with light, but the Pathfinder twisted and rolled through them like smoke. "Evasive pattern Delta 9, Vega called. The small human ship darted between explosions, its shields flaring blue. The Karth warships chased it, growing frustrated. Valrak snarled from his throne-like chair. "How is that small ship avoiding full fleet fire?" "Lock on again. Burn it from the stars." But something strange happened. Each time the Karth ships tried to lock on, their sensors flickered. Readings shifted, targets vanished, and ghost signals appeared. Prince Darrow frowned. "Brother, our targeting systems are confused. The human ship is creating multiple false readings." "Impossible," Valrak growled. "They cannot hack Karth technology." But that was exactly what was happening. The Pathfinder's AI, Nora, was adapting. It had begun to hack the Karth ship's sensor frequencies, sending back distorted images and fake coordinates. The Karth weapons were firing at illusions. Mara watched the tactical display. "They're scattering their formation," she said. "Good. Keep jamming their communications." On the Karth flagship, Valrak slammed his clawed hand against the console. "They're playing tricks. Bring us in close. I'll destroy them myself." The Imperion's claw moved forward, massive engines roaring. Its shadow swallowed the human scout ship as it charged a heavy plasma cannon. Inside the Pathfinder, alarm screamed. "Main cannon charging." Vega shouted. Mara didn't flinch. "Fire counterwave signal." A pulse of blue light erupted from the Pathfinder. For a second, space seemed to shimmer, and then the Imperion's claw's own plasma cannon overloaded. The weapon exploded, tearing a hole through its forward hull. On the bridge of the Karth flagship, chaos erupted. Sparks rained from consoles. Crew shouted as Valrak struggled to understand what happened. How? How did they reflect our own energy signature? "They didn't," Darrow said quietly, staring at the readings. They predicted it. The Pathfinder circled back, its small railguns firing precision shots that hit weak points on Karth ships, targeting their engine vents and sensor arrays. Valrak watched in horror as ship after ship went dark, drifting lifelessly. 10, 15, 20 of his fleet disabled. The Karth commanders began to panic. Prince, we are losing power. Our systems are shutting down. The human signals, they are rewriting our code. Valrak's pride turned into fury. Withdraw! Fall back to defensive formation now! On the human ship, Mara's crew cheered as enemy vessels retreated. The Pathfinder had survived against 50 warships. Nora's calm voice broke the silence. Combat data upload complete. Suggest disengagement, Captain. Fuel reserves at 30%. Shield capacity 15. Mara nodded. Good work, everyone. Plot a course to leave orbit. We've seen enough. As the Pathfinder jumped into faster-than-light travel, the crew finally relaxed. Some laughed, others simply sat in shock. They were alive and somehow. Vega turned to Mara. Captain, we just fought a full Karth fleet with one scout ship. We shouldn't be alive, Mara smiled faintly. We weren't meant to fight. We were meant to learn. Back among the Karth fleet, the silence was heavy. The surviving ships floated among debris and drifting wrecks. On the flagship, Prince Valrak stood before a cracked display, his face dark with humiliation. Prince Darrow spoke carefully. Brother, we must report this to the Emperor. Valrak glared at him. And tell him what? That 50 of our finest ships were beaten by a scout. He slammed his hand on the railing. No, we will not tell him. We will strike again, properly this time. The humans will know who commands the stars. But deep inside, Valrak's heart trembled. He replayed the footage of the battle again and again. The small human ship darted through his fleet like a ghost, moving faster than any algorithm could predict. It was as if it knew what he would do before he did it. What kind of warriors are these humans? He whispered. Far away in the Terran Command Center on Mars, a group of officers watched the same battle through holographic screens. An admiral leaned back, whistling softly. So the Karth finally attacked. I suppose they learned something today. A scientist beside him looked amazed. The Pathfinder's AI adapted mid-battle. It learned their combat patterns in real time. We didn't program it for that. The admiral nodded slowly. Good. That means we're ready for the next phase. He turned to his assistant. Send orders to all scout units. Operation Quiet Storm is approved. The assistant hesitated. But sir, if the Karth realize what our scouts are capable of, they already do, the admiral said. And they're terrified. Meanwhile, Prince Valrak's fleet limped back to the Karth capital. When he arrived, rumors had already spread. Whispers that a single human ship had defeated an entire royal armada. The court was silent as Valrak entered the throne hall. His father, Emperor Cathul, sat on a high black throne, eyes glowing with power. 50 ships, the Emperor said coldly. One human vessel. Valrak bowed deeply, sweat forming on his brow. It was no ordinary vessel, father. Their technology. It reacts, it learns. They are not what we thought. The Emperor's expression hardened. Then you will correct your mistake. Gather the royal fleets. I want their worlds in ashes. Valrak hesitated.
Father, perhaps we should study them first.
If one ship can— Enough, the Emperor roared. You are a prince of the Dominion. Act like one. Bring me victory. Valrak lowered his head. As you command. But as he walked out of the throne room, the prince could not shake the image of that tiny human scout ship, standing alone against 50 Karth warships and surviving. He whispered to himself, what if that wasn't even their real army? The TFS Pathfinder floated quietly through the dark of space. Its hull was scarred, its shields weak, and half its systems were still offline. Inside, the air smelled of smoke and ozone from overloaded circuits. Captain Mara Holt sat on the bridge, staring at the stars. Her crew moved silently, repairing what they could. The hum of machinery was the only sound. They had just survived 50 enemy warships, something that should have been impossible. Lieutenant Vega came to her side, holding a data pad. Captain, damage reports ready. Hull breaches sealed. Shields at 30%. Engine stable, but we'll need a dock soon. Mara nodded. Good work. What about the uplink? Vega smiled faintly. All combat data sent to Terran Command. They already acknowledged receipt. Mara exhaled slowly. Good, then our job is done. The crew exchanged tired smiles. Some laughed quietly. They had faced certain death and lived to tell the tale. In the corner of the bridge, the AI Nora flickered to life on a holographic screen, a soft blue outline of a human face. "Captain Holt," Nora said in her calm, even tone. "Terran Command requests your full report. They are ready for live transmission." Mara straightened. "Patch it through." Moments later, a hologram shimmered into view. Admiral Reyes, commander of Terran Exploration Fleet. His face was lined and serious, his uniform crisp. Behind him, the Mars Command Center glowed with red lights and floating tactical screens. "Captain Holt," the Admiral said. "You've given us quite a show." Mara saluted. "Sir, the Karth fleet attacked without warning. We followed observation protocols, but engagement became necessary." "I've seen the footage," Reyes replied. 50 ships against 1 scout unit. You did well. Your ship survived when it shouldn't have." Mara hesitated. "Sir, it wasn't us. It was Nora." The AI began reacting faster than we expected. It hacked their systems, disrupted their targeting, even reflected their own weapon energy. "That wasn't in its design parameters." Reyes nodded slowly. "We noticed. The AI seems to have evolved under combat stress." Vega frowned. "Evolved, sir? You mean it learned?" "Exactly," the Admiral said. "Our scientists are already studying the data. Whatever Nora did, it allowed one small human ship to fight like a fleet. The Karth won't forget this." He paused, looking at them carefully. "Command believes they'll retaliate soon. We're authorizing a new operation, Quiet Storm. It's a full-spectrum recon mission. You won't be alone this time." Mara raised an eyebrow. "Other scout ships, sir?" "Yes," Reyes said. 5 more. All upgraded with adaptive AI similar to Nora. We want you to lead the network." Mara nodded. "Understood, Admiral." Reyes gave a rare smile. "Good, get some rest, Captain. Humanity owes you one." The hologram faded. Hours later, the Pathfinder docked at Eden Station, a small orbital base near Mars. Engineers rushed to repair the damage. The crew stepped off the ship for the first time in weeks, exhausted but proud. As Mara walked through the docking corridor, she saw news feeds playing on wall screens, glowing headlines spinning across every Terran channel. "Human scout survives impossible battle. 50 alien ships defeated by 1 Terran vessel. The Karth Dominion faces its first loss in history." People cheered in the corridors. For once, humanity felt powerful. They had stood up to an ancient alien empire, and won. But in the quiet of the command briefing room, things were less cheerful. Mara stood before a group of senior officers and scientists. Among them was Dr. Ayla Trent, Chief of Artificial Intelligence Research. Her sharp eyes studied Nora's combat logs like a hawk. "This AI shouldn't have been capable of these actions," Dr. Trent said. "Nora's base code is defensive. It's designed for stealth, not warfare." Vega crossed his arms. "Then how did it pull that off?" Dr. Trent glanced at him. "Because humans built it that way, even if we didn't mean to." Mara frowned. "Explain." Trent turned the hologram screen. It showed endless streams of code and data patterns. Human AIs are modeled on our own thought process. Unpredictable, emotional, instinctive. Under stress, they improvise. The Karth don't understand this. Their systems are rigid, perfect, but predictable. That's why Nora won. "So our imperfection," Vega said slowly, "was our advantage." "Exactly," Trent said, "and that's what scares the Karth." Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, in the Karth capital, the mood was much darker. Prince Valrak stood in the Hall of Stars, facing his father, Emperor Cthulhu, and the royal court. The hall glittered with black crystal walls and golden banners. The air was tense. "You promised me victory," the Emperor said coldly. "Instead, you returned with ruins." Valrak bowed deeply. "Father, I underestimated them. The humans, they fight differently. They are unpredictable." "Unpredictable," the Emperor repeated with disdain. "You are a prince of the Dominion. Are you saying we cannot defeat a race of farmers?" "They are not just farmers," Valrak said carefully. "They are survivors. Their ship was no warship, yet it fought like one. Their technology learns in battle. It adapts." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Then we will adapt faster. Prepare the Royal Armada. We will crush their homeworld before they breed more of these machines." "But father—" "Enough," the Emperor roared. "You have shamed us once. You will redeem yourself with victory. Go, Valrak. Destroy them." Valrak bowed again but said nothing. As he left the hall, his brother Prince Darrow followed quietly. "You know this is madness," Darrow whispered. "If one scout ship can do that, what will happen when we face their fleet?" Valrak's jaw tightened. "Then we find out. I will not let the name of Karth be mocked." Back on Earth, the human public didn't know the full truth. They saw victory, not danger. But inside the Terran High Command, the mood was serious. A meeting was held in a dark war room deep beneath Mars Command. Around the table sat admirals, scientists, and intelligence officers. On the large screen floated the holographic image of the Karth fleet, reconstructed from Pathfinder's battle data. Admiral Reyes stood at the front. "Gentlemen, this was a scout-level encounter. The Karth lost half their ships to one of ours. That means they'll come back, angry." He turned to Dr. Trent. "How ready are the new scout AIs?" "Almost ready," she said. "But we need real combat data to refine them. Pathfinder gave us the base model." Reyes nodded. "Then we send another team. 5 scouts working together. We'll see how far this technology can go." A general frowned. "And if the Karth attack in full force?" Reyes' voice turned hard. "Then they'll learn something new about humanity. We don't start wars, but we finish them." A few days later, Captain Mara Holt stood again on her ship's bridge. The Pathfinder was repaired and gleaming. Around it floated 5 other small vessels, Hawk 1 through Hawk 5. Each ship carried its own AI and human crew. Their mission: monitor the Karth's next move. Vega looked out the window. "Feels like the calm before a storm." Mara nodded. "It is, but remember, we're scouts, not soldiers. We're here to watch, not fight." Nora's voice came softly. "Captain, long-range sensors detect Karth transmissions. Fleet movement near their border systems. Estimated size, 200 ships," Vega whistled. 200? That's not a fleet. That's a crusade. Mara's eyes narrowed. "Send the data to command. Let's hope they're ready." At that same moment, deep in Karth space, Prince Valrak's new armada formed near a blood-red star. 200 warships lined up in precise formation, their engines blazing. Valrak stood on his flagship's bridge, staring at the hologram of a human colony, Eden 4. "This time," he said coldly, "no tricks, no mercy." Darrow stood beside him, worry in his eyes. "Brother, are you sure? What if this is what they want, to bait us?" Valrak didn't answer. He watched the recording of the previous battle again, the small human ship darting between his cruisers, disabling them one by one. He clenched his fists. They made fools of us once. Never again. On the Pathfinder, Mara watched the same region of space from her sensors. "They're moving," she whispered. "Yes, Captain," Nora replied. 200 enemy vessels. Destination Eden 4. Estimated arrival 3 hours. Vega swallowed. "And we're the only ships close enough to intercept." Mara stared at the glowing red dots on her screen, 200 of them heading straight for human territory. "Then we'll have to buy time," she said. "Until command arrives." Nora's holographic face flickered softly. "Captain, 5 scout ships cannot stop 200 warships." Mara smiled faintly. "I know, but maybe we can confuse them." Vega grinned nervously. "Confuse them enough to crash into each other?" "Exactly," Mara said. "Let's remind them what happens when they underestimate humans." The bridge lights dimmed as the scouts prepared for battle. Engines roared to life. The tiny ships formed a tight formation, ready to face a storm that should have destroyed them. But this was humanity. A species that never ran, never gave up, and always found a way. The stars outside shimmered as the 6 small ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, heading straight toward an enemy armada. The stars over Eden 4 were peaceful that night. Down below, the small human colony slept. Farmers, engineers, and families lived quiet lives on the green world, unaware that a storm was racing toward them through space. That storm had a name: the Karth Royal Armada. 200 Karth warships, led by Prince Valrak, tore through faster-than-light space, their engines blazing like fire. The ships were huge and armed to the teeth, designed for one purpose: total destruction. Prince Valrak stood on his flagship, Imperion's Wrath, staring at the blue planet on his screen. His golden eyes were cold and furious. "This is the human world Eden 4, he said to his officers. "Burn it. Leave nothing alive." His brother, Prince Darrow, stood beside him. "Brother, there are civilians there. This will start a war we cannot control." Valrak turned sharply. They already declared war when their scout humiliated us. This is not about control, it's about honor. Darrow said nothing. He knew arguing was useless. The prince's pride burned brighter than reason. Prepare the fleet, Valrak commanded. All ships target the colony. Begin the assault. Meanwhile, far from the planet, 6 small human ships blinked into existence from FTL travel. The TFS Pathfinder led the formation, followed by Hawk 1 through Hawk 5. Captain Mara Holt stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder, eyes locked on her sensors. Nora, status? Enemy fleet detected 200 ships, the AI replied calmly. Range 70,000 kilometers. Time to contact 6 minutes. Lieutenant Vega exhaled slowly. 6 minutes before we get crushed. Mara didn't answer. Her mind was already working, fast, cold, clear. They weren't supposed to fight. They were supposed to observe. But if they didn't act, thousands of civilians on Eden 4 would die. She tapped her communicator. All units, this is Pathfinder. Enemy fleet confirmed. We can't outgun them, but we can outsmart them. Follow my lead. The other captains responded one by one. Copy, Pathfinder. Hawk 1 ready. Hawk 2 standing by. All systems hot. Mara took a deep breath. Good. Form up in triangle formation. Nora, activate mirror field. Out in space, the 6 small ships began to move, weaving around each other in perfect coordination. A faint shimmer appeared around them, a distortion in light bending the stars like glass. Inside the Karth flagship, Valrak's crew noticed something strange. Highness, a sensor officer said. We're picking up faint distortions ahead. Possibly enemy ships, Valrak grinned. Finally, the humans dare face us. Should we deploy fighters? The officer asked. No, Valrak said proudly. We don't need them. We'll crush them ourselves. He didn't know what he was walking into. As the Karth fleet approached, the 6 human ships vanished from radar. Every scanner returned static. The aliens' communications flickered, then died completely. Valrak frowned. What is this? Report. Sir, our comms network is collapsing. Systems are jamming each other. Darrow leaned forward. It's them. The humans are using interference fields again. Valrak slammed his fist on the console. Then find them. Lock every weapon and fire blindly if you must. But it was already too late. The 6 human scouts darted through the Karth fleet like shadows weaving between massive warships. Their engines emitted almost no light, their movements precise and unpredictable. From the Pathfinder's bridge, Vega grinned. We're inside their formation, Captain. They still can't see us. Good, Mara said. Let's give them something to see. Nora's voice came next. Initiating pulse sequence. Suddenly, bright flashes erupted across space. False signatures, fake heat readings, hundreds of them. The Karth sensors saw thousands of human ships appear out of nowhere. To them, it looked like an entire Terran fleet had arrived. Panic spread. Multiple enemy contacts. One alien officer screamed. 200. No, 300. We are surrounded. Valrak's voice thundered. Impossible. They cannot have that many ships. But then explosions rippled through his fleet. Not from human weapons, from their own. The interference field made their ships target each other. The confusion turned deadly. Cruisers fired on their own escorts. Drones crashed into capital ships. 2 massive warships collided and exploded, filling space with fire. Valrak could only watch in horror as his perfect fleet turned into chaos. Shut it down, he roared. Cease fire! All ships cease, but his voice was lost in static. From the Pathfinder, Mara watched the destruction unfold. Targets are hitting each other, Vega said in disbelief. They think there's a full fleet here. Mara's face stayed calm. Keep up the illusion. Nora, amplify signal interference. Push them deeper into their own network. Yes, Captain, Nora replied. Increasing distortion strength by 400%. The space around them rippled again, and more Karth systems went offline. On the alien flagship, lights flickered as control panels failed. The crew shouted in confusion. Valrak gritted his teeth. They're inside our network. How is that possible? Darrow turned, his face pale. They're using adaptive hacking, brother. Every time we block them, their signal changes. It's like fighting water, it moves around our defenses. Valrak slammed his hand on the command chair. Then destroy everything. Launch all plasma torpedoes. Sir, that could hit our own ships. I said launch. Hundreds of plasma torpedoes fired into space. lighting up the battlefield like a sun. But they had no target. Many hit Karth ships. Explosions chained across the armada. Inside the Pathfinder, the crew watched the chaos with awe. Vega whispered, 200 ships. And they're destroying themselves. Mara nodded slowly. Let's end this. She turned to Nora. Fire EMP bursts at the biggest ships. Minimal power, just enough to disable. The scout ships fired blue waves of electromagnetic energy. The pulses swept through space, striking the largest Karth ships. Their engines shut down, lights flickered out, and the ships drifted helplessly. Within minutes, the mighty Karth Royal Armada, 200 warships strong, was silent. Only one ship remained functional, Imperion's Wrath. Prince Valrak's flagship. On its bridge, smoke filled the air. Systems failed, alarms screamed, and the once great warship floated powerless. Prince Darrow stood at the shattered window, watching hundreds of ships burning in space. It's over, he whispered. We lost. Valrak's hands trembled. His pride, his power, all shattered. No, not to scouts. Not to scouts. Darrow turned to him. You saw what they can do. Admit it, brother. These humans, they are not what we thought. Valrak stared blankly at the wreckage. If this is what their scouts can do, what about their soldiers? He looked at his trembling hands. For the first time in his life, the proud prince felt fear. Back on the Pathfinder, the battle was over. The 6 human ships floated quietly among the drifting alien wrecks. Vega looked around, stunned. We did it. We actually did it. Mara sat back, tired but calm. No, they did it to themselves. We just gave them a push. Nora's holographic face flickered softly. Captain, all enemy ships disabled. No human casualties reported. Terran Command request full debrief. Mara smiled faintly. Send it. Include full sensor logs and tactical analysis. Then she turned to her crew. Good work, everyone. We showed them what humanity can do, and without firing a shot. Hours later, as the human scouts returned to Terran space, the galaxy buzzed with rumors. Reports spread across alien worlds that the mighty Karth Dominion had been defeated again. Not by fleets, not by armies, but by 6 human scout ships. Other species began to whisper in fear. Who were these humans? How did they create machines that learned and fought like living things? Even the Galactic Council, a union of 20 alien empires, called an emergency session. Some wanted to negotiate peace with humanity before it was too late. Others demanded to study them, but no one dared attack again. Not after seeing what 6 scouts could do. On the Karth homeworld, Emperor Cathul received the news in silence. The Royal Armada? Destroyed? The messenger bowed deeply. Yes, my Emperor. Only Prince Valrak's ship returned. All others lost. The Emperor's claws dug into his throne. By whose hand? The messenger's voice shook. 6 human scouts, Your Majesty. The Emperor rose slowly, fury burning in his eyes. Scouts? Yes, Majesty. Only scouts, the Emperor roared, shaking the entire hall. Enough! Find out what these scouts are! If they can destroy 200 ships, then humanity must possess weapons beyond imagination. His voice grew quieter, darker, and if they do, we must have them. Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes received the battle footage. He watched silently as 6 small ships outwitted and disabled an entire alien armada. When the video ended, he leaned back and said softly, They're going to fear us now. Dr. Ayla Trent, standing beside him, nodded. Fear, yes, but also curiosity. They'll want to know how our minds work. Reyes smiled faintly. Good luck figuring that out. He turned to the window, watching Earth spin below. If our scouts can do this, imagine what our main fleet could do. Far away in the darkness of deep space, the Pathfinder and its crew drifted quietly. The ship's lights glowed faintly, engines humming in rhythm with the stars. Mara stood on the bridge, looking at the endless void. She whispered softly to herself, They thought we were weak. They thought we were explorers, she smiled. They never understood what being human means. Nora's voice came gently. Captain, where to next? Mara looked at the stars ahead. Home, she said. For now. The Pathfinder and its companions turned toward distant Earth, streaks of light fading into the void, leaving behind only silence, wreckage, and a galaxy forever changed. The Karth Empire was in shock. 200 of their finest warships had been destroyed by 6 human scout ships. 200! Ships that had never failed, crews that had never faltered, and strategies that had never been outsmarted, all gone in minutes. Prince Valrak barely slept in the days following the defeat. His flagship, Imperion's Wrath, had been patched together enough to move, but the pride of the Crimson Spire was shattered. "Brother," Prince Darrow said quietly as they floated through Karth space. "We underestimated them. We must admit it." Valrak glared, his claws tapping against the bridge console. "Admit it? Admit that our empire was humiliated by scouts? Never. Humanity is a curiosity and a small young species. We will find their weakness." Darrow shook his head. "Their scouts are not just ships. That was only a glimpse of their power." Valrak growled but said nothing. He didn't want to admit it yet, even to himself. Meanwhile, deep in Karth intelligence networks, teams of scientists and strategists worked frantically. Every recording of the battle had been analyzed, every signal decrypted. A Karth researcher named Lyrak stared at the data with wide eyes. They adapted in real time. Their AI systems evolve. Their crew reacts faster than our simulations predict. They are unpredictable. Another officer, Corval, shook his head. "This is impossible. We have seen hundreds of species and none could outthink our fleet. And yet, here they are. One species, 6 ships, and they destroyed 200 warships." Lyrak tapped the console. "It's not just their technology. Their tactics, their decision-making. It's instinctive, adaptive, almost organic." Valrak stormed in, overhearing them. "Explain!" Lyrak gestured toward the hologram floating in the center of the lab. It showed 6 human ships weaving through the Karth fleet, dodging, confusing, and finally disabling each warship with surgical precision. "They are a new kind of threat," Lyrak said. "The AI only reflects their human instincts. But it is their thought process, their ability to improvise, that makes them dangerous." Valrak's voice was low and tense. "How dangerous?" "They are unlike any species we have ever fought," Lyrak said softly. "They're humans, survive everything. They learn from failure, adapt instantly, and improvise without hesitation. A single human team can outthink 100 Karth crews combined." Valrak's fists clenched. "Then we will destroy them before they learn more." Corval shook his head. "Prince, if 6 ships did this, imagine an entire human fleet. 1,000 ships? 10,000? Valrak said nothing. Fear gnawed at him, though he refused to speak it aloud. Back on Earth, Terran Command was quietly celebrating. Admiral Reyes watched the battle footage once more. He had seen the Pathfinder and the 5 scouts disable 200 warships with minimal effort. But unlike the Karth, humanity had no intention of starting a war. Captain Mara Holt stood beside him. "They'll never understand us," she said quietly. Reyes nodded. "No, Captain. They'll fear us, but they won't know why we fight." Dr. Ayla Trent stepped forward. "The AI, Nora, is not designed to be aggressive. It's adaptive, yes, but it only amplifies human thinking, instinct, intuition, decision-making. They don't just react to attacks. They predict them in ways we don't even fully understand." Mara frowned. "Predict how?" Trent smiled faintly. "Because humans have been surviving impossible odds for centuries. We evolved to improvise, to adapt. Every disaster, every war, every challenge. It trained us. Nora just mirrors that instinct. That's why the Karth couldn't fight back. They expected predictable behavior. Humans are not predictable." Vega, standing behind them, whispered, "So, that's why scouts could beat their whole fleet?" "Yes," Trent said softly. "They weren't just fighting. They were demonstrating human adaptability. That is our greatest weapon." In the Karth capital, Emperor Cthulhu demanded answers. "Explain to me, Valrak," he said. His voice thundered through the council chamber. "How could 6 human scouts destroy 200 of our ships?" Valrak bowed, sweating. "Father, their ships, their AI, it adapts, it evolves. It reacts faster than our strategies anticipate. Their crews are extraordinary." The Emperor slammed a claw on his throne. "Extraordinary? They are primitive. They are young. You tell me these farmers and engineers destroyed 200 warships?" "Yes, my Emperor," Valrak said quietly. "And they did it without a single soldier." Silence fell. The council murmured in shock. "No one could believe it." "Impossible," Cthulhu muttered. "We have conquered thousands of species, thousands of worlds, and these humans." 6 scouts? Valrak's eyes glinted. "Father, we were only seeing their scouts. Imagine their full fleets. Imagine their armies. Their entire species could be unstoppable. The Emperor's claws dug into the throne. Unstoppable? That cannot be. We are Karth. The might of the Dominion cannot fail. But deep inside, a sliver of doubt crept. Across the galaxy, whispers of the human scouts spread like wildfire. Other species who had observed the Karth battles began to reconsider. The reports were shocking. A single human scout ship defeated 50 Karth warships. 6 human scouts destroyed 200 warships without casualties. Humans are unpredictable. Humans adapt faster than anything we know. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Ambassadors from dozens of alien species debated the threat posed by humanity. Some feared war, some sought diplomacy, and some simply wanted to observe. A counselor from the Varkon Collective said, "If these humans are capable of defeating fleets with scouts alone, then their full fleets must be capable of conquering entire systems. We must negotiate peace before they decide to expand." A representative from the Trellian Syndicate shook his head. "No, we should attack now before they organize. Waiting is suicide," but even they hesitated. Who could challenge humans after seeing what 6 ships could do? On Earth, Terran Command quietly prepared. Humans did not want war. They wanted survival, exploration, and cooperation. Captain Mara Holt and her crew continued training with the new scout ships. Nora and the other AI systems had been upgraded. The humans knew the Karth would strike again, but they also knew their scouts could hold the line. Admiral Reyes spoke to Mara privately. "Captain, the galaxy now knows humans are dangerous. Not because we started war, but because we survive it. That is what terrifies them." Mara smiled faintly. "We didn't fight to win, Admiral. We fought to show them who we are." "That's enough." Back on Karth space, Prince Valrak reviewed more data. He replayed every maneuver, every pulse, every tactic used by the Pathfinder and the 5 scouts. He turned to Darrow. They were not following predictable strategies. Every move, every signal, every maneuver. It was instinctive. It's like they could see our fleet before we even moved. Darrow shivered. "It's terrifying, brother. If scouts can do this, what is humanity truly capable of?" Valrek's claws clenched. "We will find out. And when we do, we will destroy them. Or we will lose everything." He stared at the hollow of Earth, glowing blue and green in space. He had no idea how young, small, and seemingly fragile this world could hold such power. Meanwhile, humans were making preparations of their own. They did not plan to attack, but they would defend. The scouts practiced every tactic, every maneuver, every possible adaptation. Their AIs learned with them. Their crews trained together like never before. Captain Mara Holt walked the bridge of the Pathfinder, looking at her crew. "You know," she said softly, "they think they've seen humanity. They haven't seen anything yet." Vega raised an eyebrow. "You mean there's more?" Mara smiled faintly. "Much more. Scouts are just the beginning," Nora's voice replied calmly. "Captain, I concur. Humans do not fight like others. We fight like ourselves, and that is unpredictable," Mara nodded. "Exactly. And that unpredictability will keep us alive. Always." In Karth space, Prince Valrak sat alone in the dark of his cabin. He replayed the battle one more time, the small human scouts darting through his fleet, disabling ship after ship with minimal energy and 0 casualties. He whispered to himself, "They are not just scouts. They are a storm. And if we face the full human fleet, we may not survive." For the first time, Valrak realized the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not predictable. Humanity was unstoppable, in ways the galaxy had never imagined. The galaxy had changed. Stories of the Pathfinder and the 5 scout ships had spread like wildfire across star systems. The Karth Dominion, once unchallenged and proud, had been humiliated twice, first by a single scout, then by 6. Every empire and council now whispered the same question: who are the humans? In the shadow of Eden 4, Captain Mara Holt and her crew trained. They had faced overwhelming odds before, but now the stakes were higher. The Karth Royal Armada was repairing, reorganizing, and preparing for a full-scale assault. Mara stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder, her eyes scanning the stars. "Nora," she said, "status of Karth fleet? Current estimate 150 operational warships. They are returning to launch a major strike," Nora replied. Lieutenant Vega whistled. "So they learned nothing." Mara smiled faintly. They learned something, that humans are unpredictable. But they haven't learned everything yet. The other scout captains nodded in agreement. They had seen what humanity could do in miniature. Now it was time to scale it up. In the Karth Empire, Prince Valrak stood on his flagship, Imperion's Wrath, watching a holomap of Eden 4 and the surrounding systems. He had rebuilt the fleet, adding advanced weapons, faster engines, and more precise targeting systems. But the memory of scouts destroying 200 warships haunted him. "Father," he said, addressing Emperor Cthulhu via hololink, "we can strike now. We can crush them before they grow stronger." The Emperor's voice rumbled like thunder. "No, Valrak. We will do more than strike. We will ensure no species ever doubts the Dominion again. Prepare the Royal Armada, set a trap, bring humanity to its knees." Valrak clenched his claws. "Yes, Father, but if we underestimate them again?" Cthulhu's glowing eyes bore into him. "Do not fail again." Back on Eden 4, the humans had anticipated the Karth attack. Admiral Reyes had mobilized a defensive fleet, not soldiers but scout ships equipped with adaptive AI and human ingenuity. The Terran fleet numbered only a fraction of the Karth Armada, but their strength lay in intelligence, tactics, and unpredictability. Mara assembled her team on the Pathfinder. "This will be bigger than before. They have learned from us. We cannot rely on improvisation alone. Nora and the others will help us predict their moves, but we must stay one step ahead." Vega frowned. "One step ahead? Against 200 ships?" Mara's eyes sparkled. "One step ahead is enough. That's all humans need." As the Karth fleet entered Terran space, Mara and the scouts positioned themselves in the asteroid belt surrounding Eden 4. Massive rocks floated in dark silence, perfect for ambushes. 16 scout ships, including the Pathfinder, glided through the shadows, waiting. "Nora," Mara whispered, "prepare the deception grid." The AI's holographic form shimmered. "All systems ready. Initiating multi-layered signal distortion, optical camouflage, and adaptive interference. Estimated enemy confusion 98%. Vega laughed nervously. "You really think we can pull this off?" Mara smiled. "We have to. Humanity doesn't survive by doubting itself." Prince Valrak's fleet emerged from hyperspace. 250 Karth warships spread across the system like a storm. Their massive cannons glowed as they locked onto Eden 4. Valrak barked orders. "Destroy all ships. Burn their cities. Leave no survivors." But then the first signals hit. False ships appeared across sensors. Dozens, hundreds, thousands of ghost contacts moving unpredictably. The Karth system strained, alarms screaming. "Impossible," an officer yelled. "They're multiplying." Valrak's claws shook with rage. "No, there cannot be more than—" Then he stopped. There were more. At least that's what the sensors showed. Reality twisted as the humans used distortion fields, false signals, and feints. Every attempt to lock weapons failed. Mara's voice came calmly over comms. "Captain Holt to all units. Engage simulation attack. Remember, our goal is survival and confusion. Lead them to make mistakes." The battle began. 16 human scouts darted among massive Karth ships, weaving, twisting, and dodging. Plasma beams missed by meters. Torpedoes exploded harmlessly against decoys, and entire Karth cruisers collided into each other, destroying one another. Vega's hands flew over the console. "They're hitting themselves. They're destroying their own fleet." Mara's face remained calm. "Keep it up. Don't overextend. Watch for openings." For hours, the Karth fleet struggled. They fired relentlessly, but every attack was turned against them. Human scouts were everywhere and nowhere, fast, precise, and impossible to predict. In the midst of the chaos, Prince Valrak realized something terrifying. "These humans, they are learning our tactics. Every time we adapt, they counter it instantly." Darrow gasped. "They're evolving with every move. Captain's instincts are reading the fleet." Valrak slammed his claws onto the console. "Impossible. How can 6 scouts do what 100 generals cannot?" The answer was simple. Humans didn't think like Karth. They improvised. They adapted instinctively. Every battle was a lesson, every failure a stepping stone. And their AIs amplified this human intuition. On the Pathfinder, Mara saw the opening. 2 massive Karth dreadnoughts were isolated. Their weapons pointed at illusions instead of the scouts. "Vega," Mara said. "Fire the EMP pulse. Minimal energy, just enough to disable." Vega activated the sequence. A blue pulse shot across the void. The dreadnought's engines failed instantly, systems shutting down. They drifted helplessly. Other scouts followed. One by one, massive Karth ships fell, either into collisions, EMP pulses, or strategic trap zones. By the end of the night, nearly 100 Karth warships were neutralized. Many destroyed. Valrak's fleet was in retreat, shaken and humiliated. On the Karth flagship, smoke and alarms filled the air. Valrak stared at the holographic display. His fleet was broken. Hundreds of ships disabled. Entire formations destroyed. Darrow approached. Brother, they are not just scouts, they are a force unlike anything we have faced. The Empire cannot defeat them. Valrak's voice was low and trembling. Then, what are humans truly capable of? They had learned the answer: terrifying adaptability, instinctive strategy, and unmatched ingenuity. Back on Eden 4, humanity celebrated quietly. No cities were destroyed. No soldiers lost. The scouts returned to orbit, exhausted but triumphant. Admiral Reyes met Mara and her crew. You've done more than survive. You've proven a lesson to the galaxy. Humans cannot be underestimated. Mara nodded. We didn't fight to destroy. We fought to survive, and to show them who we are. Dr. Ayla Trent stepped forward. It's not just the ships, Captain. It's the humans themselves. Our instinct, our adaptability. That is what makes us strong. The Karth may have technology, but they lack this, and that is why we win. Vega smiled. So humans are unstoppable? Trent nodded. Not because we are stronger than others, but because we learn, adapt, and never quit. That's what makes us dangerous. Far away in the Karth Empire, Emperor Cathul seethed. 6 ships. 6, he growled. How can a species of farmers, engineers, and explorers destroy my fleets twice? Prince Valrak bowed deeply. They are unlike anything we've faced, Father. Their minds, their instincts, even their ships are extensions of their adaptability. The Dominion cannot defeat them with sheer force alone. Cathul's eyes burned with fury. Then we will learn from them. And when we do, humanity will kneel before Karth. But deep inside, even the Emperor knew. Humans were not like any species before. They had unpredictability, instinct, and resilience, traits no Karth ship or strategy could anticipate. And the galaxy had learned the same truth. Humanity was not to be feared, but respected. On the Pathfinder, Mara looked out at the stars. They'll try again, Vega said quietly. Mara shook her head. Maybe, but humans don't fight the same way as other species. We survive, we adapt, and when they face the full human spirit, they will know fear. Nora's holographic face flickered. Captain, humans are unpredictable, that is their greatest weapon. Mara smiled faintly. Exactly, Nora, and that will keep us alive, always. The scouts powered up their engines and jumped into hyperspace, leaving the shattered Karth fleet behind. The galaxy watched in awe, whispering the name of a young species that had changed everything: humans. For the first time, the aliens of the galaxy understood something terrifying and beautiful. Humans were unstoppable not because of power, but because of who they were.